So I thought it might be interesting to compare the new Pixel 6a to the older Pixel 4a from 2 years ago. There's a lot of similarities, so which one is better? Today we're gonna compare as many categories as possible to find out. As you can see, they're not doing the colored power button on the 6a. Not sure why exactly. The Pixel 4a launched at only $349 versus the new Pixel 6a at $449, which is still a pretty good price in 2022 for what you're getting. The Pixel 4a is a little bit smaller and lighter at only 143 grams versus 178 for the Pixel 6a. You get the same 128 gigabytes of storage on both phones, and both phones have 6 gigabytes of RAM as well. You'll also notice the Pixel 4a OLED display is a little bit smaller at 5.81 inches versus the 6.1 inch OLED display on the Pixel 6a. Resolution's pretty similar though at 1080 by 2340 on the 4a, 1080 by 2400 on the 6a. The screen brightness is also going to be pretty similar on these two, just very similar as far as screen quality. Colors and contrast are going to be similar. To me, both screens look really nice in person and appear to have about the same screen quality. You'll also notice you get a headphone jack with the Pixel 4a, where you're not getting that with the Pixel 6a. Kind of sad really how they're deleting that on pretty much all phones nowadays. Now, when it comes to the batteries in these two, you get a smaller 3140 milliamp hour battery in the Pixel 4a, 4410 milliamp hour in the Pixel 6a. So this one's sort of obvious, but as far as battery life goes, the Pixel 6a lasted over 2.5 hours longer than the Pixel 4a. So we're talking 11.5 hours for the 6a, only 9 hours for the 4a in my battery drain test, with screen brightness at 100%. Now keep in mind, when I'm testing these for battery life, it's a more extreme case scenario. So normal mixed use, it's gonna last at least a day or two, especially if you turn the screen brightness down. Again, not a huge surprise here considering the Pixel 6a is bigger and it has a bigger battery. Software wise is going to be very similar between these two, especially since the 4a has been updated to Android 12. Originally it launched with Android 10, so obviously you're going to get longer software updates with the Pixel 6a, and you may notice small things here and there that are different. For instance, when you're editing photos, you're not going to get the magic eraser on the 4a that you get on the 6a. If you've never used a Pixel phone before, it's really one of the best ways to experience Android in my opinion. Not to mention the software support is really good on these phones compared to some of the competition. I believe Samsung is the only one that might support their devices 1 year longer than Google. You'll notice the fingerprint scanner is on the back of the 4a and is a little bit faster, a little bit more reliable compared to the newer one that's built right into the screen on the Pixel 6a. I know there's some issues with the fingerprint scanner on the 6a right now, but I'm sure it's going to be fixed in a software update fairly soon. Obviously, that's going to be personal preference though, on which one you like better. Performance-wise, you get the Snapdragon 720 processor in the 4a, Google's Tensor processor in the new Pixel 6a. And yeah, performance is one area where the newer 6a is going to feel quite a bit more snappier in most situations. Everything from moving around the software, multitasking, gaming, things are going to load a little bit faster on the 6a, and overall just most things are going to feel a little bit faster on the Pixel 6a. Now, neither phone is considered a gaming phone, but overall have been better than expected in my testing. Games like PUBG Mobile, Asphalt 9 play fairly smooth overall on both phones. You can also play the new Apex Legends Mobile on both phones. I think most people will enjoy gaming on either one, but if you want the phone with better gaming, it's obviously going to be the 6a. You get dual speakers on both phones. I feel like the 6a is a little louder, maybe sounds a little bit better overall, but let me give you a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what they sound like. Cameras are actually some of the best you'll find on smartphones in my opinion. You get a single 12.2 megapixel rear facing on the 4A, dual 12.2 megapixel cameras on the back of the 6A. Then you get an 8 megapixel front facing on both phones as well. You'll also be able to shoot video in 4K on both phones, but only the 6A is going to be 4K 60 frames per second, 4A is 4K 30 frames per second. I feel like the 6A might be a little better for photos and video, but surprisingly the 4A still holds its own even in 2022. Here's a few samples of each just to see what you think. So hopefully this video gave you a little closer look at comparing the Pixel 4a and the new Pixel 6a. As you can see, they took away some stuff, but then improved in other areas. Now, whether it's big enough changes for you to upgrade this year to the Pixel 6a, it's sort of gonna be personal preference. But I feel like they've done a really nice job for the most part. I know I've got a couple more comparisons to do with the Pixel 6a, so you'll definitely wanna look out for those. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.